with another company. And this company is fully owned by the university and fully supported So in terms of IP and businesses, in order for the business to actually grow and get the product to the market. So they partnered with a private organization named Engeli Enterprise. They incorporated a business incubator named Propeller Business Incubator. And this incubator basically incubates technology-based businesses. It's technology-based businesses that are from inventions coming out from the university, entrepreneur in the transfers knowledge or commercializes IP. We typically license it to an existing company, or we do a spin-out company to actually run the business. And I know the licensing is hardly very interesting for webinars like this or seminars like this. So I thought I'll give 3 examples of startup companies that have come out from the university. But what I want to also highlight to the spin-out companies is that it's different types of IPs that enable these organizations to in that is that you don't have to protect IP and have a patent, but intellectual property resides on the idea. If companies have survived and thrived without registered IP, but if it can be registered, it gives you a stronger position for commercialization. And before I go to my last slide, I just can be enabled by intellectual property. So read any questions, I would really plead that you contact the you can also go to the Innovation Office website. Thank you.
Sure. What a beautiful way to perfectly represent and speak about the university. If I was a student and I was sitting in the audience, I'd definitely start thinking applying. Hey guys. Know what I'm saying? Imagine we are the only university in Africa with a campus that is situated in the nature reserve. Think about it, very special. You walk around, you see little monkeys, there's zebras everywhere. It's a jungle. We all live together. Umnandi like I. So think about it. A round of applause for Udoka, please. Media ideas get in IP management. Can you please give him a round of applause as he comes to the front?
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so I saw everyone walking out and I was getting a little bit worried. Is it because they're not interested in the development of small enterprises? So, colleagues, my name is Duma Bun Duma Kubela. As has been said by the Program Director, I work for the Small Enterprise Development Agency. I was the acting provincial manager until about a week ago. Have from a talk point of view, it's entrepreneurship awareness and everything else related to that. Startup training, basically business startup advice, innovation and tools that are related to that. There we are talking about clients that are probably at an idea stage or clients that are at a startup stage and sometimes not sure how to go about executing the ideas that they have. So we've got very specific programs in terms of how we deal with clients at that level. And then when we're talking business start, it's business startup training again, business planning, business startup advice, marketing materials, needs-based, obviously interventions. Like I said earlier, we assess you, we see where you are, and then obviously an intervention is designed by your business advisor that is allocated or assigned to you together with you as an enterprise owner. And then build basically talks to businesses that are already in operation. So we've got very specific programs that talk to that, where we look at operational and planning tools to look at what is the business currently doing and what could it be doing differently so that it could improve a bit, obviously the standing. And then there's programs that look at access to local markets, access to export opportunities. And these are really interesting and exciting programs because what a business tends to do is, and I mean, I don't have the liberty to give practical examples of individual companies because obviously we sign client confidentialities with clients. So we don't always want to give you, to give client information without getting, the requisite, go ahead from the clients. But basically, we do take clients from where they are to international expos, local expos, so that they can get exposure beyond where they are geographically, so that they can get to either mingle with potential buyers, other potential businesses for business to business point of view. And so with the DTI and other entities, we look at programs across the world. We have expos and exhibitions that we send people to in China, in New York, London, on the continent, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, basically across the world. And I think all continents, including Australia. So there are opportunities when businesses are at a certain level, and we do have tools, export readiness assessment tools that assess where the business is and whether or not it's ready to take its program, or means take its products across the seas, basically to different places. So all of these things, like I said earlier, it's designed to build your business. And so we also have access to technology through our technology transfer assistance program, which is located in our CEDA Technology Program Business Unit. We also have business mentoring and coaching. The way we do that is through basically a structured mentoring program where we do it in groups, and also we do it at an individual basis where a company basically has those needs as identified through the assessments that we do. And then lastly, the business growth stage, basically again, just one in the same as the build, where we are basically trying to get the company access to a different market to where they are, and other basically business mentoring, facilitation of access to finance, manufacturing support needs-based interventions. Okay, if you can move. Done. Okay, so CEDA, obviously we have to categorize our offerings in terms of the different stages of businesses and the different stages where businesses are. So for survivalists and micro enterprises or startups or idea stage businesses, we've got entrepreneurship awareness, as I said earlier, business startup training, franchise awareness, business planning, business startup advice, and business registrations. But then for more small and medium enterprises, again, I'm not going to repeat what I've said, but we also do assist collectively owned enterprises, cooperatives, and other types of enterprises that are collectively owned, both primary and secondary cooperatives. Sometimes we get community-based organizations that want to move maybe from a social interventionist type of offering into a more commercial and more sustainable enterprise. So we do have a unit within CEDA called CPPP, which is cooperatives, communities, and public-private partnerships. So in that business unit, we basically deal with those enterprises and entities that are in communities so that we can move them from an informal type of operation into a more structured and registered operation so that they can then have the requisite tools to apply for different types of fundings, not only from government, but also from other financial institutions, international donors, and the likes. If we can then move. Okay, so some of the key programs we have, and again, like I said earlier, I didn't want to focus only on innovation as as a standalone, because the innovation will be across different sectors. So you've got to understand over and above the innovation based interventions, what else does CEDA do to assist clients? So there's manufacturing support program, which is basically provided. I mean, these are DSBD umbrella programs. So the manufacturing support program is a financial program that is offered by CIFA, but what we do is to get the client ready for that application to CIFA for the funding. So we would do a whole range of things from business planning and all other business development services to get them to be ready. Business viability, enterprise and supplier development programs, those we do in partnership with ESG partners from the corporate space. I've already spoken about coaching and mentoring. I've also spoken about entrepreneurship in schools. And then there's export development and trade facilitation program. I spoke to you to that earlier in terms of how we take clients basically to international trade fairs, expos, exhibitions, etc., and the likes. We also have had a business recovery program. Again, the financial aspect of that was offered by CIFA, but again, we do the prep work to ensure that the clients are ready to access that funding. And again, incubation program, I spoke to you earlier about the Engeli owned Propeller, which is co-owned by the university, NMU, and Engeli, which is called Propeller. Our incubation program has about 110 incubators across the countries that are supported and financially supported by CEDA. And I emphasize always they are not owned by CEDA, but they are supported financially by CEDA through a structured incubation program. Okay, so I've spoken about the other issues. There's a new fund, which is probably a year or two old, which is called the Youth Challenge Fund. It's delivered by CIFA, but again, they've got a portal that you can actually apply for that funding for. And so we would assist in collaboration with CIFA to ensure that SMMEs are compliant and ready to basically receive that funding. So the Youth Challenge Fund, as the name of the fund states, it's directed at youth, and you only have to be a South African. As long as you're South African and you are youth, meaning 35 and below, you are eligible to apply for that. And then finally, there's the She Trades program. She Trades program, I think it's more in line with the theme. She Trades is a presidential program that is delivered through CEDA and other partners that basically looks at interventions that are directed specifically at women-owned businesses across basically a multitude of sectors. Again, it has a whole range of interventions, one of which is the international access to markets, where we've taken groups of female-owned businesses across to Ghana and other places. Sorry about that, I timed myself, that's my 20 minutes gone. So the She Trades program focuses on women-owned businesses, and so women-owned businesses are then taken on these programs and given access to opportunities for international and local markets. So it's something that for local female-owned businesses, it's worth looking at. And then finally, we have the Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program. If you can go to the next slide, please. When this program was conceptualized, it focused on specific type of township and rural businesses, spaza shops, bakeries, clothing, leather and textile support, butcheries, support program, chisanyamas, fruit and veg, personal care, artisans. But in the last year, we've added two other categories. The one is other, which means in the literal sense, any other business. So if you are basically purifying water and you are not in the other categories, you can be assisted with this Township and Rural Enterprise Program. If you are an artisan, whatever trade you are, whether you're a plumber, you're a mechanic, you're an electrician, you can get assisted. And the assistance is very practical. There is a grant program that is a 100% grant that sits with SEFA, and there's also a loan and grant program, which is a blended finance product where you can actually get assistance of about R1 million or more, and you then get a percentage of that as a grant, and the percentage of that obviously it's a loan which is repayable. So there is actual budget sitting with SEFA, which is available for this type of assistance. So lastly, the last 3 slides, if you can just move. Where we are located across the country, we have 54 branches, which is where you can actually get hold of SEDA. Here in the Eastern Cape, we have 5 branches. I'm not going to talk to the rest. We have one here at number 329, Cape Road in Newton Park, yes. And then we have 4 other branches, one in East London, one in Queenstown, one in Mthatha, and then the last one in Mount Aleph in Alfred Nzo district. And then if we can just move on. We also have, as I said earlier, 110 incubator network that is supported by SEDA. And here in the province, we have 16 of those. The one that I spoke to earlier as an example is Propeller, which is here in PE, in Gqeberha. And then the SEDA incubation framework, if you can move to the next slide. This is my second last slide. The SEDA incubation framework basically looks at a client journey type of approach where you have a pre-incubation stage, incubation and acceleration stage, and then lastly a post-incubation. So each and every one of those stages have different interventions that are basically executed in conjunction with the client as the client is incubated in a SEDA, a supported incubator. So I won't go into those details, but basically the incubation model is based on a 36-month cycle from pre-incubation all the way up to post-incubation. And then lastly, the last slide. So the client journey from a SEDA point of view, I'm going to talk you right through it. Basically, you walk into SEDA, a practitioner consults with the client, practitioner then registers the client, you sign the confidentiality and service agreement, and that's why we don't dish out to clients' information, because that confidentiality is signed before we do anything. And then the practitioner does an assessment of the client and then develop a business case for that. And then an intervention is agreed to. And this is very important because a client cannot come into SEDA and say, I want A, B, and C done for me, and we say no. We should assess and then come to an agreement. The practitioner and the client would then agree and sign an agreement for what intervention will be done, because then it brings about accountability on both parties. That intervention is implemented, it's signed off upon completion, and then we pay for the service provider. We conduct a customer satisfaction survey, and an improvement assessment is done 6 months after the fact to check what was the actual impact of that intervention. And then the practitioner writes basically a closeout report, which is, we call it a success story. And that's basically what CEDA does. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Duma. We really appreciate it. Moving right along to the next speaker, one of the partners who are responsible for bridging the innovation gap between research and development from higher education institution, public entities, and private sector is also present here today. I think we've had mentions quite a lot from previous speakers. The Technology Innovation Agency, I know that they had established the seed fund and a couple of other funding opportunities back then in order to address this chasm. Please allow me to welcome Ms. Tamaray Governor, who is the legal advisor at the agency. A round of applause for Ms. Governor as she comes.
Hi, morning. Thank you so much. I have to apologize. I do not have fancy PowerPoint slides because I wasn't sure that this venue had PowerPoint slide. I'm not as advanced as Tabang with fancy videos, but I'm just going to do a brief introduction of TIA. And contrary to Tabang's allusions before, I'm not going to do an IP 101 presentation, so you're not going to be bored with patents and designs and copyrights. I'm going to give you an introduction of our agency. So firstly, I'd like to say thank you to our partners for this opportunity to be with you today. Thank you to our colleagues at NIPMO, CIPC, CEDA, the DSI, and obviously our institution where we're at today, NMMU, and DTI. So the Technology Innovation Agency is an initiative of the Department of Science and Innovation. As Tabang said earlier, we're under Dr. Bladen Zamande, and we were established in terms of the TIA Act in 2008 with the objective of stimulating and supporting technology innovation by developing and exploiting innovation in order to improve the quality of life for all South Africans. The aim of TIA was to bridge the innovation chasm between scientific research yielding inventions and the successful introduction of those inventions into the market for the benefit of society. That was often lacking prior to our IPR Act coming into place. TIA therefore provides funding and support intervention during technology development and commercialization stages within our NSI, or our National System of Innovation. Our strategic roles. So TIA plays various roles in the NSI, namely as a connector, catalyzing partnerships between SMMEs, industry, higher education institutions, and science councils to develop an enabling environment and supporting sector-specific innovations. As an active funder, that's our main mandate. We provide risk funding and support for innovators such as yourselves. As a facilitator, attracting and facilitating late-stage funding for commercialization. As a service provider, reducing barriers of access to expert and skills. To expert skills, as well as high-end equipment for innovators, startups, and SMMEs. For example, in our technology stations and platforms, which I will describe later on. TIA's positioning along the value chain. So TIA's positioning within the value chain involves taking basic or applied research through to technology development and then commercialization. Our strategic areas of interest are ICT, renewable energy resources, natural resources, advanced manufacturing technologies, and a heavy influence on biotechnology in health, agriculture, industrial biotechnology, and more recently, even IKS, indigenous knowledge systems. As a funder of research, TIA mainly focuses on funding technology development from the point where inventions demonstrate the capability of upscaling. So from proof of concept stage to um, pre-commercialization stage. So if you know TRLs, I know there are many scholars in our audience today, so it's not really necessary for you, but some of our academics and our tertiary institution students may understand this would be your TRL levels 3 up until TRLs 8. In addition, TIA provides financial and non-financial support to stimulate innovation in the NSI through innovation enabling and support programs. And in so doing, TIA enables both the development and support of IP in the technologies it funds. TIA also supports the development of IP projects, of IP through these projects from youth and female investees, which you will see later on today, as many of our investees or some of our female investees are being showcased today. So let me give you a brief rundown of our funding instruments. As part of our mandate, TIA offers funding instruments as well as innovation enabling support programs. And these are Technology Development Fund or TDF Fund and Pre-Commercialization Support Fund. So our seed fund, this would be for a quantum of up to 1 million rand. The seed fund assists innovators in conjunction with seed fund partners, which could be higher education institutions such as NMMU, science councils, and or provincial development agencies, incubators, and other eligible entities to progress research by developing prototypes, establishing a proof of concept, validating business cases for TRLs 3 to 8. The seed fund therefore serves to build a pipeline of innovation for other funding instruments or further funders at later stages of TRLs 8 and above. So then we get to our Technology Development Fund. Now this is our main fund, quantum of up to 50 million rand per project. The Technology Development Fund aims to assist innovators with technologies from proof of concept up to technology demonstration level. So this is TRL 7. And I was very proud to see that when Dr. Gumede had her PowerPoint presentation earlier, of the 3 projects that she highlighted out of NMMU's TTO, 2 of those projects were TIA-funded projects, the Rubber Nano project and PV Insight. And I believe Dr. Jackie McClelland is with us today somewhere here. She will be up on the program later on today. So we're proud to say that, we are working with all of you at your TTOs, at your at the higher education institutions, and we're funding some of these fantastic projects that we're seeing today. So this fund aims to focus on R&D activities from, like I said, higher education institutions, science councils, towards technology development and increasing opportunities for SMMEs to enter technology development, and we fund projects in partnership with private enterprises as well. During due diligence phases, obviously we have to assess these projects. Technology is assessed for a competitive IP position as well as commercial viability. Should funding be awarded to an applicant through this instrument, the resources may be made available for IP registrations of the technology involved and long-term IP support. So we would also include in your budget for your projects finances for not just the registration of patents and designs, but also maintenance fees on those patents, designs, trademarks, etc. later on. Then we come to our third one, our pre-commercialization support fund, also a quantum of up to 50 million per project. This fund aims to prepare innovators with technology at TRL 8 for follow-on funding. So such as through the IDC, we would then assist our investees to obtain further funding at later stages of development. So we support pre-commercialization activities such as market testing and validation, or obtaining bridging finance for any intermediary activities. TIA also assists innovators to connect to onward business and investment opportunities, like I said earlier. Should an applicant require bridging finance through this fund, again, finances may be made available for IP support after assessment and due diligences are carried out on your IP portfolio of your project. Then TIA also offers innovation enabling and support programs, which aim to promote industry cohesion by strategic collaborations and networking, stimulate innovative technology development, provide SMME support, provide human capital development support. There are several IES programs aimed at stimulating this support in the NSI, and I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of some of our programs. So we have the Technology Stations program, TSP. Some of you may be aware of this. The TSP is a network offering infrastructure and technological solutions to targeted industries and communities. There are 18 tier-funded technology stations across the country, which have been established in conjunction with higher education institutions. And tier financial support is provided to the technology stations in order to provide support for science and engineering challenges within the industrial sectors. So a beneficiary of tier funding may then obtain assistance from a technology station in order to develop a product, process, or service. So a quick example of this, just off the top of my head, would be I was once involved in a project where our client needed a molding made, using a die, a mold. And one of our technology stations at TUT, Tshwane University of Technology, is involved in that. So we would then send our investee out to TUT in order to have TUT's technology station assist him with his mold making. And we do this through a voucher system. Then our technology platforms program, TPP, up to 15 million per project. Technology platforms are tier funded and established in conjunction with the higher education institutions and science councils to facilitate access to infrastructure for innovation in targeted technology areas. TIA provides funding to these platforms in the form of grants for operational infrastructure and projects. One of our mainstream platforms that comes to mind would be CRISP, which many of you may have heard about during the COVID pandemic. So that is one of our proudly tier-funded programs. Innovation Skills Development Program, ISD. The ISD program was developed to enhance business innovation skills of recipients of tier funding in order to improve commercial prospects of success of their projects. Tier funding is then also used for training and development and upskilling of our investees. The Technology Innovation Cluster Program. This program aims to foster collaboration within the industry, supporting skills-based and workforce-involved technology innovation. Tier funding provides supports funding later on. Then our Global Clean Tech Innovation Program, GCIP, which some of you may have heard of. The GCIP program promotes innovation of clean technologies and entrepreneurship in SMMEs. The program promotes innovation in South Africa by assisting in identification and nurturing of early stage clean technologies. TIA coordinates a competition-based business accelerator program wherein IP support, amongst other types of support, is afforded to the contestants in order to guide their business strategies and commercial success of their projects. And in the past, our legal team was brought on in order to consult with them and to therefore offer advice on assessment and advising them on issues of IP protection and strategy for their businesses. GIP, our Grassroots Innovation Program, which may be of interest to many of you here today. So this is where we offer funding and IP support. Um, it's a smaller quantum for grassroots innovators. So any innovator off the street, you don't have to be a part of a higher education institution or a science council. This is open for any sort of project where you come to us with some sort of valuable IP, and you are a grassroots innovator. It can be anything ranging from apps to, we've had mechanical devices, water cleaning technology, etc. It's your basic level technology. In all of the above funds and programs, tier funding supports the development and protection of IP by conducting in-house due diligence assessments and funding the sourcing of we may fund the sourcing of external IP opinions through of IP, patent science trademark, and the maintenance of then that registered IP, such as the payment of renewal fees on your patents and designs. As TIA is a publicly funded entity and regulated under the Publicly Financed Management Act, PFMA, it follows that any IP developed from such public funds is then regulated and must comply with the provisions of the IPR Act, Intellectual Property from Publicly Financed Research and Development Act. So, at all stages of due diligence and contracting with our investees, our IP due diligence assessments are made, and compliance with the IPR Act is always borne in mind and of the utmost importance. As such, one of the key factors considered when measuring returns on tier technology development, apart from financial and non-financial factors, such as socioeconomic development, is a project's contribution to the benefit of society, to the knowledge economy of South Africa. This measure considers indicators such as total benefits accruing to IP created and exploited, and IP generated and protected, including patents. Therefore, it can be seen that tier offerings in both financial and of emanating from the projects we fund, and tier favors factors such as youth and female-led projects. And with this, I'd like to then point out our list of female investees that we're showcasing today, but I'm not going to go into detail on their projects, as you will get a chance to meet them later on. So we have Dr. Jackie McClelland of the PV Insights project that Dr. Kumede previously mentioned, Ms. Sandiswa Kai, and Dr. Naima Ibrahim Khan. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them also on behalf of TIA for being with us today and showcasing our proudly TIA funded projects. And thank you all for your time. I'm open to questions, but I think our program director will lead us into that later on. Thank you so much.
A round of applause for Ms. Governor again. Yes. Lovely stuff. Okay, right about now, we're going to go right straight to our question and answer session. If the speakers would kindly please join me in the front. All the speakers who had presentation, please do join me in the front. It'll make things much more easier for us. So Mr. Mujalifa, please do come through to the front. Mr. Tabang, Dr. Ngobile, Mr. Duma, Ms. Tamre, please just come to the front. Dr. Ngobile, I think you can take that seat over there. So that we can just address these questions to them. I believe that we do have a couple of questions. Can I just see hands? People, okay. Okay, that's quite a number. Awesome stuff. So there's a roving mic that will be moving around because I'm not sure if the mics are actually evenly distributed for everyone who wants to be asking their questions. So whoever then has a question, you just say who the question is directed to, and then it will be responded as quickly as possible. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, no problem. Um, maybe we can start. Can I just see hands? I think we can sort of start in the front. Can I see how many people are here who've got questions? We'll take roughly about 4 questions before we go to our tea break. So we've got one over here. You are identified, 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 identified. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I see you. You are recognized. I recognize you too. Okay, it's fine. So we'll start with a lady over here. You can just give the mic over to.
Testament. Good morning, everyone. I am yes. With regards to what you were saying about taking steps of protecting intellectual property and visiting CIPC, yes. What or are there any perhaps documents that one has to have when they go there, or is it just the idea that they have and then they get guidance from there depending on what they're there for?
I'm not sure if I fully understand your question, but I think you want to know if there are any documents that one needs when one wants to apply for any of the 4 types of intellectual property. Am I right? Okay. Now, I said in my presentation, you don't have to take a trip down to Pretoria. All you have to do is visit our website. And when you go into our website, obviously the first thing that you need to do is to register as a customer of CIPC, pay the prescribed fee, and then go to online transacting, and then go to IP services. For example, if you want to apply for a trademark, you'll click on trademark. You would put up the name that you want to protect, whether it's a name of your company, whether it's a name of a product. And if there is a logo, the system would prompt you to attach the logo. And if there is a slogan coupled with that, the system again will ask you to attach that logo. So in a sense, what we mean is you do the application on yourself, you provide the necessary information yourself, and what we do is after you've clicked the submit button, we only process based on the information that you have provided. And secondly, there is still a manual application system. If you like, all you do is download the forms, complete the forms. If there are any additional documents that you want to attach to your claim, for example, if there are drawings, if there are specifications in terms of the patent application, you will do that attach, and there's a dedicated email address that you can use to scan the documents and send the documents to us for processing. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name, you guys hear me? My name is Viwatebo, and I am the owner of the company Viwatebo. So my question is more pertinent to Ms. Governor, whereas I would like to. Hello. Okay, much better. So my question is more pertinent to Ms. Governor, where I would like to find out where, like, I have an idea to be able to create an agri-tech innovative IP. So now, what are the steps needed for me to be able to partake into that? And also, if I were to also go to CEDA as well, Numzana, okay. So would I also need to create a separate application towards you as well? Or will it be able to link for both entities when I have this idea? Um, I did not hear properly with the tech development fund, in which that's the one. Do I need to apply for just one type of funding, Ms. Governor? Or can I go with the seed, the tech development fund, pre-commercialization? Can I do all of those simultaneously? Or do I have to go one by one to each of those? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is it working? Um, so firstly, we're two different organizations, so you cannot make one application to both of us. You would need to approach each of our organizations separately. But then with regards to your process to us within TIA, all you would need to do is contact us. We would make available to you our direct line number at our head office. You contact us and we will put you in touch with one of our project managers. I think you said your business would be in agriculture. So we do have an agriculture business unit. However, you do not need to then make an application separately to each available fund. Our project manager would sit with you, assess your idea, your technology, and assist you in best progressing your project. So it depends on the factors of your project, really. We can't say that you must follow one or the other. You know, sometimes we might even fund you through from seed fund all the way up to pre-commercialization, but it would obviously be through the timeline of development of your project. So you would just need to contact us and we would then assist you in filling in the forms and which avenue, which fund would best suit your project, because there is no one size fits all. You know, sometimes projects come to us for technology development fund, but actually it's very early stage and it's best suited to seed fund. So we would then send you to our seed fund unit and take you through the stages of the timeline of your project. Does it make sense? Okay. I hope I've answered the question. Thanks.
So from a CEDA point of view, one of the things we assist with from an ideation point of view, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying you have an idea. So you don't necessarily have a plan yet. Whether it's written or not, that's beside the point. So one of the things we do from an ideation point of view is obviously we'll assess the idea and then we'll put you together with a service provider to ask you to conceptualize that idea and put it on paper properly, so that as you get to the likes of TIA and others, you have something that's in writing that makes sense, that can then be translated for the purposes of applying for these different fundings that's out there. So that would be the link between the two organizations. But as Ms. Governor said, we are different organizations. Maybe one thing I would like to say, just purely from a branch access point of view, you would obviously have to contact your nearest branch. And I said here in PE, there's one in Cape Road, in Newton Park. There's an innovation that we are working on as an organization. We'll be piloting in about 6 branches where you can basically interact with us online from probably the end of May for the rest of this financial year. And obviously, as we then, perfect that, we'll roll it out across the country. So that's just to address issues of access. So if you are unable to get to the branch for whatever reason, I think from probably the end of May, will be basically live with that at certain branches. So you are then able to access those services directly online, and you can interact with a business advisor that way.
Thank you very much. I know we had someone who had their hand up here.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Chris. I'm a fourth year student here, but I came as the teacher from Kumbulani High because I'm also doing my SPL there. So I came here as the teacher for Kumbulani High students. So my question is directed to Mr. Koza, and I think it's a two-part question because I already have some intellectual property and I've already actually dealt with CIPC like in the past, but I think maybe I was a bit misinformed before. Okay, my first part of my question is, when do you actually have to actually approach CIPC? Because usually in the past I had an issue because I registered some intellectual property with CIPC, but just because I was a bit young, I think it was back in 2016, 2015, but I actually still have that. But then we had issues with actually running and taking off. But then we started having issues with being taxed, and I remember we had to pay some money involving that the company was active for a while, but this company wasn't making money, no money was coming in. So I want to know, do you go to CIPC when you start making money or when you have an idea? Because I don't really get it, because I'm pretty sure even when it comes to funding, because some of the stakeholders here are new to me because I do my research, but I don't have time. So I don't really get when you actually have to register, because now I have to pay all this because I have a partner, but I don't understand because we haven't even started making money. We're trying to protect our intellectual property from my understanding then, even though now my understanding has slightly improved. Okay, thank you.
This is quite a complicated question, but I'll try my best. One, when you register a company with us, our system has been synchronized with SARS. When you register a company with us, the system automatically gives you an income tax number for your company. Now, SARS is only interested in companies when they make money because they want their portion. It's called tax. Now, every year, each and every company has to indicate to SARS if they have not know your tax returns to SARS that you have not made any money. If you have not made any money, there's nothing owed to SARS because you made zero, okay? Then when it comes to an idea, we don't protect ideas. We protect ideas that are tangible. Somebody asked me a question the other day and said, Mr. Koza, I've got an idea about writing a TV show. Can I protect it? And my answer was no. We cannot protect what's in your head. The idea is in the head. We can only protect that idea when you take a pen and paper and write the script for a television show. That's tangible. It's something that we can see. I hope I've answered you. Okay. Then another thing with regard to companies is once your company is registered with CIPC, the Companies Act requires that each and every year you pay what we call annual returns to keep your company active and alive. If you don't pay annual returns for the first year, then there's a penalty of $50. If you don't pay your annual returns the second year, there's a penalty again that kicks in. If you do that In the third year, you don't pay your annual returns again, then your company goes into what we call deregistration mode because we take it you're not serious, okay? You are not serious. So that is actually a compliance issue that we look at. Thank you.
So my question is for maybe the Innovation Office. I just wanted to find out which ideas do you guys not provide intellectual property for? So am I allowed to bring ideas like alcohol for you guys to provide intellectual property for? Weed, because I work in the lab, so I can do extractions from weed and make cannabis products. Can you guys provide intellectual properties for that?
So we will consider any idea, any invention that you bring to the office because we don't have any official exclusions. So it would depend on the invention because sometimes you can develop a process that leads to, let's say, cannabis extract, but that process can be used for any other plant, for example. So the protection might not just be for cannabis. You can patent it for a broader application, even though you've demonstrated it on cannabis. So it's tricky to give a straightforward answer. But if you do an invention, we will do a patentability search for you and we will do a market assessment on the invention and then we'll advise appropriately. Sorry? Let me just say, if you've got an alcohol idea, you can come to our office and we'll chat.
Hello, my name is Kenny Mandawe, and as of right now, I'm just here as a honor student for the university. My question was more based on, was for the CIPC, and then it more or less correlates with what the lady said and what the guy said. My question is, first of all, is the whole process
Please cue me up. Testing 1, 2. All right, can I have your attention, please? Thank you very much. I hope you are refreshed and ready for the second session. It's going to be so short, like super short. Before you know it, it'll be over. Right about now, if you can see on the program, we had competition and then we've got 3 speakers before that. So we'll just swap things around and end off with the competition. Um, all right. So the 2023 theme, as we had all had, is Women and IP, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity. And today we have female innovators who are here, who have benefited in some of the funding, especially the one from TIA. I think we did hear Ms. Governor also speaking more about that earlier on. They're also here to share their success stories and struggle stories on how they started from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah, we're going to hear a lot of those stories now and how this funding has been very useful for them. I don't see my state speaker so far, so I'll just swap things a bit around and I will start off with Miss Sandy Swakai, who is the managing director at AET Africa. Can you just please give a round of applause as she comes to the front?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me say all protocol observed. I've once worked in a government space, so I like to observe protocol. As I'm introduced, I'm Sandy Swakai, the innovator and managing director of AET Africa. AET Africa is a company, we are innovators and manufacturing company. We are based here in Eastern Cape, Dimbaza Industrial Park. How I came about to be an innovator is that I was feeling the pain of paying more money on getting hot water from my geyser. I was one of those people, I switch geyser on and off every morning. Literally, I'll wake up at 4 to switch on my geyser so that 6:30 when I wake up, I've got hot water. And that was the pain because I was paying more money. The inconvenience, if you forgot to wake up at 4, you snooze that alarm. 6 o'clock or 6:30, you don't have hot water. So that really bothered me. And at that stage, yes, I was in the manufacturing space. My background is in economic development and I'm a researcher. So I did my research. I was like, there should be something that we do in terms of improving this. I cannot be accepting this access to e-geyser. So to cut the long story short, 20 I do not need to heat 150 liters every day because when every time your temperature drops, every time there's load shedding, your temperature drops, your geyser is to reheat 300 liters every day. That's what you pay for. So what happens, and then in this case is that, okay, that's the challenge, but how do we improve? So as I say, we started with this research and looked in terms of the design. And then that's how the hotspot concept came about. What the hotspot does as a sleeve, we call it a geyser sleeve, or there's another word they say a geyser condom, because you retrofit on, sorry, you retrofit it on your geyser element. And then your element has to be a spiral design. It works with your brands like your Quickot, your Builders, all the your Builders geyser or Gap geyser, the geysers that you get from your Build It and all of that. So it has to have a spiral element. You retrofit on that spiral element. What it does, there is a small hole that we've got that it will detect the temperature within the geyser. Your geyser reaches the temperature. Your hot water, because it's light, it floats through the hotspot. That's how the innovation works. It creates the layers of hot water so that you can have immediate access to that hot water. Within 30 minutes of switching your geyser on, you can have about 50 liters of your hot water. So whatever I addressed, the waiting period. We've improved on the energy efficiency, because instead of your geyser now reheating the entire tank, part, because every time you open your tap to get hot water, cold water has to come in, then it dilutes the temperature. So with the hotspot, you only reheat that new water that comes in, not the entire tank. If there's only you at home, or like me, you've got your helper and the child, it means you can use your geyser as a 50 liter, as a 100 liter instead of 150 liters. When you've got visitors, then you can still have access to all the water you need, because it's water now on demand. You get the volume of water you need when you need it at reduced cost. What it means in rand value, for every 100 rand that you spend on electricity, you save a minimum of 20 rand. You do not have to change your geyser to get a new geyser that's energy efficient. Legislation in 2018 changed to say your geyser to be efficient is to be category B. So if you've got a geyser that you bought 5 years ago, it means you are not compliant. But with hotspot, you retrofit, then you get compliant. Win-win, is it? Okay, so where does the IP story come in? We started with our provisional patent in 2014, when as soon as we had an idea, we registered for a provisional patent, and then we had to work on the innovation. And later on, in 2018, that was only in, and as our we've applied for a trademark now in terms of the hotspot now for this geyser, in terms of the water heating, not hotspot now for Wi-Fi. So that's what we've done on the IP component. And since it's an ongoing work, one thing that I made as a mistake, or we made as a mistake with my team, is that at that stage, we didn't know much about the design patent. So we're going to exhibitions showing our design. So we lost out on the design element, but we've got a full patent on the process and other stuff. And we haven't disclosed our formula when it comes to the raw material that we're using in this process. But what we've done, we've been working with various partners, including Nelson Mandela is one of our partners, the Center for Science and Rubber Technology. We've been doing a lot of work in terms of improving on the product performance. And maybe you are wondering, if then this is a sleeve that goes inside your geyser, what happens when there is dry burn, when your temperature changes? Those are development of the product. So it's been an ongoing work with lots of challenges, but through the support that we've got from your TIA and other players like your CEDA in terms of getting our product certified and tested, we also managed to commercialize and set up our production facility. As it is right now, the product is certified internationally under an Australian certification body, because in South Africa, I want to say this as a pain to everyone in the room who thinks about innovation, that it's not a walk in the park, because our product certification processes, with all due respect, are not conducive or make it easy for innovators to come into the space. The policies, the legislation and everything requires you to go the extra mile in convincing your end users, in convincing the manufacturers, and convincing partners to endorse your product to get it certified. As it is, the hotspot is not SAPS certified because there is no standard. The existing standard with geyser manufacturers, I need to go and get approval from a geyser manufacturer to test my product. Right now, they see me as a competition instead of a partner. So which means my product is not certified. So that's the struggle. Yes, we all know that later on, when everything goes well, we will all be smiling, going to the bank and making millions. But if you come into the innovation space thinking that letter that comes from a geyser manufacturer to say we endorse, then you can be tested. As I'm sitting here, we have to send emails back and forth, getting this one letter to get our product certified SAPS, or we have to go and certify it internationally and find an equivalent standard. That's the pain we're going through. We've got partners. Yes, we've survived because of the strategic partners we've have. And through the partnerships that we've got, we've managed to travel internationally to explore and look what's available in the market. So I don't want you to feel demotivated by what I said, because the support exists, but we just need to go the extra mile. I've been part of the Grassroots Innovation Program. I've been part of the Global Clean Tech Innovation Program. And I've been to your COP27 because of the strategic partners that I've got. I've managed to commercialize because I could go and apply for funding from companies or investors that are willing to give us a platform to test our product. But now the only missing element is that market access. We've got our product retailing at several retail stores like your On Tap, via online, and we're still pushing to get more retail partners, and we're also looking for more distribution partners. It is possible, believe me, it is possible, and I do not want, as I say, please work on that idea, don't give up. The support, the information that you receive today, it works if you want it to work for you, to fill in those forms, attend training into incubation programs, because you can't do I've got support, because that's what you need. And start by filing that provisional patent and do your research. And as I say, it is possible, you can do it. Let's just not give up. Thank you very much.
Hi, I do have some slides prepared. Okay, so I'll, great. Nelson Mandela University. The group is led by Prof. Ernest van Dijk and Dr. Freddie Forster, and they over 30 years in combined with all the members, experience in module characterization, as well as systems analysis, performance features, energy yield processes, and one of the leading research groups in the country on photovoltaics research. So with this as a backing, the decision was made in 2014 to set up the photovoltaics testing laboratory. So I'm just going to work through the timeline of the company and how it was started and at what point it became a company. So I'll keep referring back to this timeline. But in 2014, the photovoltaics testing laboratory was set up on the Ocean Science campus in Gomery Avenue. At that point, it was the CSIR. So we started there, and we had a few contracts set up with PV plant manufacturers. moving towards PV as a solution. So the plant owners and operators at a large PV plant need to assess the risks involved in their PV plant, and they need to be continually monitoring performance. So when we set up in 2014, the target market, let's say, was always going to be PV plant level or utility scale operations. So when these operations are assessing their technical risks, it's very important for them to look at all the components. And one of the key components in a PV plant is the photovoltaic modules. So as you can see, there's a large PV plant there in that image, and the modules are quite an important component. So PV Insight was the performance. So things like a maximum monitoring of performance, how much power is this module going to give you, as well as detecting any defects or degradation. So it's very possible that with time, modules degrade, and they can degrade faster. Than expected, depending on prepare the documentation and quality management system and all the processes needed for the application for accreditation. To, in 2016, receive our accreditation with SONOS. So anyone who's familiar with laboratory testing, I will know that SONOS is the South African National Accreditation Service. So any laboratory that, whether it's a medical laboratory, civils labs, calibration labs, are accurate, other in place to ensure that the equipment is sound. So having your accreditation in place is a very important step for any laboratory. So to achieve this in 2016 was a very good start, and it also enabled us to secure more contracts because a client in Spain, wherever the holding company would be, knows that if you are a SONOS accredited lab, SONOS is accredited with the World Accreditation Body, and that means that your results are as good as their results. So it's a very important step for any laboratory service. So what goes into accreditation and achieving this very precious certificate? So you basically set up a quality management system, and that's formalizing all your test methods and your procedures and your policies and your standard operating procedures, your job aids. All of that information gets formalized, and you have processes to check it, to make sure that it's reviewed and that it's implemented correctly. So this is where this is where our IP as a company sits in part, is the fact that, we have this know-how, this quality management system that's based not only on the operating of the lab, but, the previous research and the opportunities that, the experiences of all the members in the organization. Okay, so in 2017, a spin-out company was set up. So that is PV Insight. So that was just to sort of enable better operational activities, speed up processes. So the company was then set up, so separate thing from the university, with shareholding with the university. And then in 2019, a very exciting development was that we were able to have access to a mobile testing lab, which allowed us to offer as an accredited service mobile lab testing, which means we can go on site to a PV plant, test the modules there, which decrease the transport costs and risks and time for the PV plant owner. And then over the years, we have been able to upgrade our equipment. So when we started in 2014, we were using a older solar simulator, so solar simulators to do the power measurements on the PV modules. So it was a few years old already, so it was a bit of, had some, difficult to use sometimes. So we were very happy when we could then have access to a newer generation solar simulator, which arrived in 2019. And then in 2022, we were able to, as a company, PV Insight now has their own solar simulator. So this one, the reason we had to buy it in such a short period of time, so 2019 to 2022, is not a very long time, but the size of PV modules has changed in that period. So before, your maximum size would be about 2 meters high, and then now standard is 2 meters plus. So if you could see in the picture in the middle, there's definitely a height limit. So we had to get whole new equipment just because the actual modules that we're testing, the actual tests that we need to perform have changed, and it changed very quickly. It was like 2 years from being announced to being like, okay, no one is using the smaller modules anymore. And you'll note that as well if you drive around. Majority, but in rooftop you'll have smaller modules, but certainly on a utility scale, they want the biggest modules possible to decrease their costs. Okay, so then in 2021, the accreditation was moved to the company because you have your accreditation in a 5-year cycle. So it was decided at that point that you have to reapply for accreditation. So let's reapply as the company to streamline the processes and make the operational activities easier. Okay, so 2022, like I said, we got the new lab, and we were able to increase our staff number, employ more permanent staff, because the contracts were starting to happen over this period, that we summarized so nicely in a straight line graph, but a straight line or timeline. But so there's always a change to the markets. So, when the lab was set up in 2014, it was always focused on a utility scale market, and that is very much tied to the government policies around renewable energy and the REAP program and all of that, and everyone knows that had stalled for many years. So that was a challenge there where things were projected to happen and they did not happen as that way. And at the moment, there's suddenly such a growth in a commercial and industrial and rooftop market. So there are individual companies and individuals who are putting in PV who 10 years ago when we started, there were no other accredited labs. Now CSIR does also offer accredited PV module testing services. So they are a competitor, and they do offer different services in slightly different ways. So then our plans for this year, we're going to add new tests to our scope, and we're very happy to say that we've now completed over 50,000 tests have been completed since the lab started in 2014. Yes, so personally, from my experience working in this company, I thought I'll end off with some slides that are a bit more related to my experiences. But what I would find that being involved in a small company, that firstly, you have to be involved in all aspects of the company. So, even like I come from a technical background, the PV module characterization, but you need to certainly know about the bookkeeping and the finance and the HR and the contracts and every single aspect of that. But that being said, you need to know and you need to understand, but it is always, I think, preferable to refer to an expert. So you're never going to become a content, outsource what is not needed. So like get a good bookkeeper in, or accountants, etc. And then what I've learned over this time is you must critically evaluate those relationships, with those service providers. So for many years we had accountants, and it was always like a mission. You were like, where's this? Where's this? Why is this in the wrong account? And it went on and on and on for months. And eventually we're like, no, we're done. We'll get new accountants. We got new accountants. They're great. Everything's done on time, whatever. And you think, why did we spend so much time with those other people? So when things aren't working out with service providers, just say bye. There's always someone else who's help. Very much. Point, but you did every do. So train people appropriately, get staff when you need it, and delegate appropriately. And with that, it's also important to manage your time and make sure that you have good a work-life balance and things. So since it is about women in IP, I always push back against the idea that women with children are less productive at work. I always feel that in my time since I've had children, I'm more productive at work because you only have so much time at work and you have to do it at that time. You can't do it till 10 o'clock at night. You can't do it over the weekend. You're at work and you must work. So I think there is, a value, and you must encourage women in these spaces. And even though it is hard work to be involved in your own company, you must encourage it as well. Okay, so thanks. That's my last slide. If anyone has other questions or technical questions, they're welcome to contact me. Thanks very much.
Hello. Good day. I know you're very tired now. You're almost at the end, and I won't take up too much time, okay? But I want to introduce myself first, okay? My name is Naima. I came all the way from the University of KwaZulu-Natal. I am the current academic leader for the optometry department. So when you think optometry, guys, you think eyes, okay? You think glasses, you think sight. Okay, so that's my background. I'm also part of the management team, the school management team for the College of Health Sciences, which is led by our esteemed Dean, Prof. Katushele Percy Mashige. Okay, and I work very closely with him as well. And I'm currently teaching in the undergraduate program, but I'm also a researcher. I'm involved in about 14 different research projects at the moment, many of them in the innovation space. But today I want to speak about Bona. Bona, which means to see, okay? And I was a successful recipient of the TIA Seed Fund, okay? And that helped me a lot with Bona. So Bona also stands for the Basic Ocular Ngane Assessment. Okay, so you're seeing that some of you already know what it's about, okay? right? Because we're South Africans, right? We know what this is. So it's about pediatric vision screening, okay? And, vision screening is not, okay? And it's very important that we do this for kids in school, especially so that we pick up the problems earlier, we fix the problems earlier, they can do well in school. They can go take their place in society, okay? So that's the point of this. Lots of background here, but just to point out, everybody knows that sight is one of the key senses, and we need it for everything in life, okay? We use it to develop, to grow, to explore, all of that stories. But I want to just point out something here, 1 point. An estimated 6 out of 10 children in South Africa with reduced vision can be corrected with glasses, but only 20% of these children actually have the glasses. Isn't that a scary, hectically scary? Something that we can fix, but we haven't fixed, okay? So that's what I wanted to do. I created a pediatric digital vision screener, which incorporates ecologically valid targets, and it is very, very suited to the South African environment. So it's a computer-based vision screening application. It can be used at the moment for grade R to grade 3. It's based on, this fancy word here is Health Professions Council of South Africa, right? Because I'm from the health sciences, our profession is regulated by this council, right? They tell us, to do this, you need to do all of these tests. So it has to be regulated for us to be able to use it. So I thought about this when we were innovating. We incorporated it one time. Okay, so we did it all at once. So it's quite fun to use this because, the kids think they're playing a game. They don't know they're actually having an eye test done. Okay, so that's one big plus. It's currently available in English and isiZulu, and it's currently also being translated into Afrikaans and Sesotho. I want to get it into all of our official languages. Hopefully, that is my dream. And it must reach everywhere. Okay, so quickly, some problems. Why did I think about doing this? Okay, supply versus demand. We don't have enough eye care people in South Africa. We don't, okay? So this is pass-fail criteria. And as soon as you see fail, you know you need to send the child off to go and seek eye care help, okay? It's quite easy to use, okay? With South Africa, we have to think about what we have, our existing infrastructure. So I didn't use fancy protocols and fancy programs. I used stuff that should be or could be used within our networks here in South Africa. Also, there's a lack of screening. Lots of people or lots of kids get left behind. So this would help to ensure that there's access for everybody all over, no matter whether they're in the rural area or whether they're in an urban area, okay? It can go all over. It helps us to find problems early, okay? As well as familiar targets here. Okay, so Bona incorporates targets that would be familiar to South African children. So what we did was we went through and we had a look at the Blue Book series. Some of you may have come through with using the Blue Book series, or some of these books that are prescribed by our government for our student, our children to use. And we looked at what targets are there, and we tried to make it such that when our children are looking at it, they understand what they're seeing. And why is this so important? I think we must talk about this ecologically valid and how important this is for South Africa, for Africanization. Why is it important? Because when we use targets that are developed internationally, our kids may not necessarily identify with that. They may not know what it was. And a very common example that I always give is when I was an undergraduate student, we went out for screening to one of the rural areas in KwaZulu-Natal, which is where I'm from, right? And the kids were failing the test. You know, the visual acuity where you get a chart up and they must tell you what the pictures are, right? Everybody's familiar with that. They were failing the test. Why? Because they were in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal and some of them did not know what a ship or a boat looked like. So it wasn't that they couldn't see it. They just didn't know what it was. And now they were being failed for the test, right? So this was when the idea started seeding itself, way back when I was in undergrad program. Okay. So what are some of the features and benefits? Okay, it's portable, it can be taken everywhere. It's digital, okay, so we can do some updates to it. It's quite time saving, guys. 6 minutes with Bona versus 10 to 12 minutes doing it the traditional method. And that too is like with an optometrist speed doing it, you know, with all of the different tests going through it. Okay, so this is a little bit more interactive and child-friendly as well. Now, I know we've spoken a lot about intellectual property here today. That's the point of today, right? But I want to just summarize very, very quickly for our future leaders, because I'm so excited to see that you guys have come out, okay? You took time out of your busy schedules, you've come. Let's talk about this. Let's speak about intellectual property. What does it mean? And what have I learned, okay, in the space that I am at, okay? Remember, I'm at a tertiary institution, but I'm also very much involved in the community as well as with my students, both undergraduate and postgrads. And you know, I always say to them that learn from my mistakes, protect your work, right? So IP helps academic research by protecting the innovative ideas, the discoveries, okay? And also it helps with this legal framework, which is important as well, which the layperson doesn't really know about. Okay, I've also learned about when you include different portions of IP. So it's your patents, you know, we spoke today about this. Everybody, all of the previous speakers spoke about all of these important things. You need to understand the differences and kind of figure out which one would be applicable to your situation, whether it being a patent, a copyright, a trademark, and also your trade secrets. Secrets are important. Keep your secrets close, okay? Don't go around telling everybody everything. That's quite important because you want to prevent others from now copying and also benefiting from your work without your permission. Okay. And it also helps people then to progress. Okay. You want to provide this incentive for researchers to continue to do the work that they're doing, right? You don't want them to be penalized. You want them to feel confident that they're going to be recognized for their own work. And that's very, very important. And commercialization is also an option. It is a difficult road to go down, as our previous speakers have spoken about, but it is an advantage that we have this opportunity to go down this path. Okay, so please use it. And just, I need to say that, you know, the understanding of this importance of intellectual property and all of its implications is so important for academic research, for normal research in general. Us South Africans, we're quite a resilient nation and we overcome a lot of challenges, yeah? Do you guys agree? Yes? We have innovators, okay? And our future leaders here, guys, my message to you is dream big. Do not hold yourselves back in any way. Grab whatever opportunities you can grab. Innovate, go forth and take your place in society. Thank you.
Sure. A huge round of applause for all our speakers, please. Wow. I think if you are not inspired, I don't know where else would you draw such great inspiration. If you have that idea, it is about time that you actually start doing something about it. And I think we all can agree that TIA has certainly plowed on very fertile soil. And thank you so much to them for celebrating this can-do attitude of women innovators, the creators and entrepreneurs around the world, especially for their groundbreaking work. Are you inspired? Come on, are you inspired? Yeah, that sounds more like people who are inspired and who are ready to tap into the entrepreneurship space. Now, as promised, we've got a quiz or a game to just round things off because we've come to the end. So we've got some very exciting, awesome prizes. Yay, I'm excited. I think I also want to play. I mean, like, I also want to win some. It's really great stuff. Bonani, can I just ask that you get me 2 bags in there, please? A round of applause for Bonani as he comes to the front. Yeah. So this is what the prize looks like. I'm not going to say what's inside. I think let's just keep it as a surprise. But everything that you need is in here, trust me. And needless to say, it's from one of the most renowned institutions, the Nelson Mandela University. I mean, what more could you ask for? All right, so how this game is going to work is I am going to give you a picture. It's called Guess the Logo. I am going to give you a picture. If you know which institution or company or business or enterprise that is, you just raise your hand. If you're lucky enough, I'm going to point you. You shout it out loud and tell us which one it is. And if you're correct, you could be walking away home with something very exciting. Right. Media team, are you ready? Awesome stuff. So, just as an example, it will appear as something like this on screen. Right. Then I'll ask you, what institution or company is the first picture? Come on, let's all say it. Yes, but now you'll have to have your hand raised up, right? And then the second picture? Can we go to the third slide, please? There's also another logo there. What logo is that? Yeah, it's a very famous company. What company is that? Moshasha Holdings. Yo, I still need to work really hard. That's my logo, everybody. Give me a couple of years. Next time, you won't even look at it twice. Just first glance, you'll know what it is. All right, are we ready to start? Can I get a drum roll, please? Can I get a drum roll, please? Right, let's go. Identify the logo. The first one. Okay. I will go to the languages. Everybody? Yes. That is Safa. Is he correct? Congratulations and well done. Please give him one. Honestly, apologies for that. Apologies for that. And then we move on to the second one. Identify the logo. Interesting. Okay, please get ready with the gift. I went to this side, so maybe let me go this side. Is anybody this side? Hey, they're not sure. Okay, there's a gentleman with a light blue tie. Yeah, I see you over there. Please let us in. Pardon? He says black like me. Is he correct? Congratulations and well done. All right. Yeah. So we've got 8 prizes, but we've got only 6 questions. Eish. So now I don't know what we're going to do with the other prizes. I'm sure they're going to go back or something. We'll try and be creative. Next logo, please. Okay, we went this side, so I'm going to try pick somebody from that side. There is a gentleman at the back with a lanyard and a gray t-shirt. Right at the back. I think I see you over there. Yes, you. Please shout it out loud. He says Woolworths. Is he correct? Congratulations and well done. If you don't know the next one, I shame. I shame. Can we get the next logo, please? All right, so I'm going to give it to the gentleman in red in the front. Have I done a lot of gents? How many gents did I do? 1, 2. Don't worry, I got you. Yes. Please shout it out loud. He says Pick and Pay. Congratulations, it is Eskom indeed. Please give it to him. Hey, I feel like people are gonna hate me for this one. All right. No, don't worry. We have a couple of prizes. Kawar. Okay, so to balance things off, let's give it to the ladies this time, gents. Ne? Let's just be the gentlemen that we always are. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Can I have the next logo, please? All right. There's a lady over there with a blue. Yes, you over there. Please shout it out loud. She says Cecil. Is she correct? Congratulations and well done. And now we are down to the final question. Ish. That one. Yes, it's her. Yes, it's her. Which one is this one? It's that one. All right. Now the last question, unfortunately. Ish. Ladies, this one is for you. I'm going to take a learner who is a lady. Lady. Learner, which recording artist claims the trademark Philip? I don't see any female learner, so I'm gonna give it away. Female learner? Okay, I do see a female learner over there. I see you with a